Alright, what's up guys? DDP coming at you with a new video. And that new mic, can you hear the audio quality difference? Whoo! I am in love. It might not be the best, but significantly better than what I had. Now, the rest of this video isn't recorded with this mic, so have fun. This video is going to seem like it's a lot more quickly thrown together, and that's because it is. I got something decently big on my channel that I've been working on, so this video just kind of got pushed under the rug a little bit. Plus, I didn't have any clips of me fighting any of these actual bosses, and it's not like this is a convenient game that I can just rush through to get all the footage. So enjoy me dominating at this card game I've never played before. Editing aside, I wrote a pretty dang decent script for this, so you're going to be entertained no matter what. So after this video drops, just wait to see what I'm doing next, and let's get started. So recently I had the pleasure of playing through Persona 5 Royal, and it was an absolute treat. A great introduction into the Persona series that I had logged about 200 hours into over the course of the past year. And while it's definitely too long of a time to be playing a single base playthrough of any game, it added a nice bit of reflecting over the past year of just my memories of the game and potential video ideas. Now, while the character ranking is definitely on the way, I thought it'd be fun to start my series into the Persona videos off with a nice boss ranking. Like, you know, the ones you've seen 30 times already. Now, originally I wanted to rank my show times from favorite to least favorite, and honestly I still don't know why I didn't do that. But I'll be basing my choices off a combination of difficulty, creativity, and just overall levels of awesomeness that I felt, for lack of a better term, as well as my own personal preference. So feel free to leave a comment about what your favorite bosses were, and if you think I left a boss too high or too low on the list. Also, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button because my views and engagement is fine. It's my subscriber count that's been lacking. Let's get it. So the worst boss in the game is Okumara. I'll wait for you to put your socks on after I thoroughly knocked him off after that shocking reveal. Yeah, to nobody's surprise, Okumara is the not best boss in the game. I didn't want to say worst twice, it makes for bad writing. And for a good reason. Okumara is probably the best example of a good idea, bad execution. And now that I'm thinking about it, probably also bad idea. Okumara hits you with 3 waves of his employees before you're able to hit the businessman himself. Each wave has its own type weaknesses for you to abuse and baton pass away to boost damage, giving more people to clap than an STD appreciation orgy. Now that's all fine and dandy. Where the problem lies is that he subs these employees out every 2 rounds, so if you don't kill each wave within 2 rounds, you'll have to start the whole process over. Add in the fact that the waves get increasingly beefier, as well as Okumara casting debuffs the entire time for the protection of his minions like a little bitch, and you have the perfect recipe for a broken controller and a broken TV, depending on your aim. Oh, did I mention there's a time limit? That way you know exactly how much time you've wasted. Neat, huh? Luck feels like it plays a huge role in this fight. Eventually I just got lucky with openings to criticals, but that was only after Okumara had gotten even better luck with openings to criticals on Joker. Isn't it infuriating that an unlucky turn can set you back 20 minutes? Awful boss. At number 8, we have Kamashito. I have a lot less to say about this boss, mainly because it was a lot less interesting and a lot less happened. Like, really. This is a boss that I could barely remember, and I had to watch someone else's playthrough of them beating the boss just so I could remember what the hell happened. This is a boss that I could barely even remember, and I had to watch someone else beat it just so I could get the slightest recollection of what the hell happened. Short answer, nothing. Nothing at all. It's hard to remember something when nothing happened. So the boss starts off just fighting man to man, to fly. And then after swatting him for the good part of barely 3 minutes, he pulls out his big piggy bank assault weapon, which is the main part of this boss and the lamest thing I've ever seen. I remember thinking to myself, is this really the boss? To which my question was met with my team getting sleep farted on them, at which point I mentally checked out. The most threatening thing Kamashito will do is a big rolling attack, but you'll die from boredom before anything else. Upset PETA and beat up a pig. At number 7, Walkable Griffin. It should be said that I'm actually very favorable towards the rest of these bosses from this point on. It's just a matter of preference. I mean, it's not like the first 2 weren't a matter of preference. I guess the first one wasn't. Okumara was just objectively the worst. I feel like a lot of people really like this boss, and I would actually really understand that. It was a really emotional, story-heavy boss. And while it's good to one degree, as a result, it felt like all you really did was go through the motions. The motions being story stuff, attack, story stuff, attack, story stuff. Oh, I won. Not that this is bad by any means, but it puts it at kind of a meh status, term also used to describe my skills in bed. I kid, I own a futon. So where the atmosphere was at an all-time high, difficulty and arguably creativeness was lacking. I don't know, maybe if I would have lost my mom instead of my dad when I was 16, I would have felt a little bit more connected with this boss. So we all uncomfortable now? Good. I suppose I'll leave it up to you guys as to whether or not a big Walkable Griffin is cool or stupid or hot, I guess. No judgment, actually. Minor judgment, and if you dated Futaba, I think that also qualifies as minor judgment as well. Lamau. For number 6, we have Matarami. The first part of Matarami's boss was great. The paintings were fun to fight and really cool mixed with mildly disturbing if nothing else, but hey, what do I know about art? My only grief comes from the second half of the fight. Now, admittedly, Matarami is not that hard, cheap, or difficult, but I died like 3 times, so it left a sour taste in my mouth, and I'm putting it here. Not that being in the middle of the list is a bad thing, unless you ask anime fans who think mid equals garbage. So I beat the game on hard mode with relative ease, so I'm by no means bad at the game, but Matarami just kept fucking me up like there was no tomorrow. It was the little things that got me. Little things like the blue Matarami reflecting wind, a lesson I learned the hard way 4 different times for 4 different nonsensical reasons. If I ever died, which like I said happened like 3 times, the table of weaknesses and such goes back to being question marks, which is something I never agreed with. Whenever you die, your experience gained carries over. Well, in my opinion, finding out an enemy drains fire right as you think he's about to die, only for him to get a crit kill on Joker, is a hell of an experience, and it should count. I don't think I'm talking about the boss anymore. Matarami's great, but I'm more of a music fan. So at number 5, we have Kamashito. Kamashita had everything you could want for a beginning boss. Creativity was nice, difficulty was standard, and it had a lot of nice moving parts that worked well with each other without feeling like one part was too good or too bad. It was just the definition of a good boss. What pushes this boss even further is that it had a good level of emotion and atmospheric buildup to it, which made it that much more satisfying to kick his ass with the power of your persona, as well as the power of #MeToo, Justice for On. Now, at some point in the boss, you're able to send a teammate to go distract the boss, a mechanic they fool you into thinking will be more important throughout bosses, but you only do it like 3 more times, and each time made me go, oh yeah, this is a thing that could happen. Looking back at Kamashita's design really drives the point home of how stupid a big pig tank is. Yes, I'm still on that. One thing that bothers me though the most about some Persona bosses is that it feels like everything you're trained to do goes out the window with them, and it's mildly infuriating. I went to the palace learning how to search for weaknesses and flick status and baton pass like a pro, only for every boss to say, fuck you, none of that matters anymore. My friend who loaned me the game was there for the battle with Kamashito, and I remember the conversation go more or less like this. I'm trying to find out what he's weak to. Oh, he's not weak to anything. Alright, so I'll put him to sleep or confuse him. Oh, no, that won't work either. He just blocks statuses. Then what am I supposed to do? Just hit him? Yeah, just hit him. Okay, great. Now I get it. Maybe you think that's just going to completely neuter a boss and make it too easy. I think other bosses on this list have had type weaknesses or been able to inflict some form of status without it being easy. And I'm not even saying this to say that Kamashito was hard and you needed that extra bit of help. It just would make the battle flow a lot better to have something that you can kind of work with. And obviously not every boss is like this, but Kamashito's the first one who does that, and I hate it. But he's still great nonetheless. At number 5, we have Nijima. It genuinely pains me that this boss is at number 4. Let the record show that I like Nijima, probably best or second to best, but I feel like it's not actually better than the next 3, despite me saying earlier that this video was just my preference. Alright, so the look of Shadow Nijima, has it pissed any of you off yet that I haven't been referring to them as Shadow? I hope so. But Shadow Nijima is definitely one of the best, if not the best, and coolest looking boss. It was definitely different, and stood out from the bosses up until that point, all angry, gruesome, and bloody, and I'm not even gonna make a joke saying that it must be Nijima's time of the month, cause that'd be too childish. Classics. The party side mission made another rare appearance, but the whole endeavor takes about 5 to 7 minutes at the beginning of the battle, so if you die, which I think I only did twice, you have to do it every time. Very annoying. Now, random roulette typing was actually nice and refreshing for a boss, so I guess you could say it made it a bit easier to extent, but I don't really think so. I still died twice. She hits like a truck. Shadow Nijima is also super hot. That shouldn't matter, but it does somehow, so let's just get into the next one. It's crazy that there are 2 more bosses to talk about. I recorded this part with the new mic. It's probably very obvious. The second best boss is the second to last boss of the game. You might be sensing a pattern. I was worried about this boss at first. At the time, I knew it was the last or second to last boss, so when I came face to face with a cup, I was understandably concerned. I'm very happy to say, though, that my expectations were just blown out of the water and exceeded in every way. The music from Shido's Palace isn't new anymore, but that won't stop my bias. It's fire as hell, and I'm glad they used it again. Now, this boss obviously gets an unfair advantage, because it's not just a boss battle. It's a whole event. It's a climax. A culmination of everything you've done up until this point. It's empowering, it's rewarding, and it's satisfying, to say the least. It almost made me feel bad that I used the same 4 party members the entire fight. It was an intense fight that had me on my toes, like a toddler trying to wash his hands in a sink that's just too tall for him. Now that wasn't funny, but it's a good simile, and sometimes good writing matters more than funny writing. Now I'm trying not to jerk this boss off too much because I still have 1 more to go through, and I have to find a way to make this paragraph funny. Oh yeah, I haven't even brought up summoning the big-ass persona. When Arsene made an appearance after not seeing him since I benched his ass in Kamashito's pals, I really hate that earlier personas stopped learning moves and are rendered useless. Now believe me, this makes sense, and it should be this way, but I don't like it. I love the Pixie in the first palace, and I would have ended the game with her if she stopped learning skills after level 4. I'm just trying to pad for time though. I ran through this game with Moraki as my main persona, and that's also why he's on my banner. But seeing that big-ass persona was hype as hell. Really was a great way to end this boss, and honestly end the game. But we still got one more boss to talk about, baby! Now you're probably thinking, what could top taking down a god? And I'll tell you, taking down a school therapist. And an asshole. I might be in the minority in saying that I didn't like Maruki that much. Regardless of that though, this boss battle was kick-ass, and the best in the game by far. And I know it kind of sucks having the last battle of the game being the last boss battle, but I don't think anyone's going to disagree with me on this one. And if you do disagree, it's to the extent where you're like, yeah, I get it. Now, there's 3 stages of this boss, all different and all good in their own way. The first part of this boss feels like the redemption Okumara needed, especially now that he's dead. I use on skill, whatever it's called, and killed him in 4 turns, but don't let my cheap tactics let you think this part is easy. Monarchy will slap your ass hard with those slime hands, and an event I imagine is 5% of this fan base's wettest dream. After that, he proceeds to finally face you and fight with a giant behind him. This part was pretty easy and pretty cool, and then at the end, where every single person saves you, was pretty satisfying. Especially because I had just leveled up Futaba to be able to save me. It was just like, I don't care if this is scripted. It feels amazing. And then the last part of this boss battle was probably one of the best moments in the entire series. All your friends getting fisted, Akechi pushing himself harder than anyone else despite the fact that he was going to die immediately after this fight, jumping on the enemy's head to give that final kick-ass line, checkmate.